Hey guys, this is my second episode of my new podcast called Realm Relapse, which is about Realm of the Mad God and other similar inspired games. Just before I get into it, I'd like to give a big shout out to my patrons for making all of this possible and supporting me in becoming a wannabe Bickuribox12. In my first episode, we spoke to Rob Schillingberg, one of the co-creators of Realm, and now, what a coincidence, for the second episode, we have the real Bickuribox12. How's it going?
Going great, thanks for having me.
Awesome. To give a bit of an intro, Bickuribox, or Bickuribox12, or what some others might know him as is Talwar, is probably the greatest Realm YouTuber because the numbers are behind it. He's got the most views and subscribers while being primarily a Realm of the Mad God YouTuber. How many subs did you have before you swapped to doing Sonic content?
It was just hit 56k.
That is crazy, and you've like doubled that since, right?
Just about, yeah, it'll be...
Wow.
At like 112.
Wow, when was your last Realm video exactly?
It was probably just at the end of 2021.
Jeez, that's crazy. It shows you how big the Sonic audience is compared to Realm.
It was a miracle it took off when it did.
Yeah, that's so awesome. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
I don't know why I've only just started wondering this, because I've been watching you for definitely at least over 5 years. Where does the name Bickuribox12 and Talwar even come from?
So... at the time I made my channel, I was really into Yu-Gi-Oh! So
Yeah.
both of those names are from Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards. Bickuribox is a old fusion card. It wasn't like it was my favorite card or anything. I was probably just looking at it at the time and thought that might be cool. And then 12 was just... this was an era where you kind of had to put a number to your name to make it stand out. Because if you just typed in Bickuribox on YouTube, my channel wouldn't come up. So I was like, okay, just add a... like, I just liked the number 12 at the time.
Yeah. Oh, so there wasn't any
there.
other connection to the 12?
No, it was just like, I think like a kind of like numbers I had like in jerseys, like on sports and stuff.
Yeah, I thought it might have been
like
your age, because you started making videos so young. When did you start?
You know what? I might have been, I was around that age, like 13, so I could have been 12 whenever I come up with it, actually.
Yeah.
I wonder what my thought process was back then.
Yeah, I've actually got a Discord channel where people suggest suggestions for me to ask the people I have on my podcast, and that was one of them. They were like trying to find out themselves before the podcast how you got that name, and they brought up the Bickuribox song, and I think it explains it in the, if you remember that word.
Yeah, it means Jack in the Box, comes from Japan, because Yu-Gi-Oh's Japanese, yeah.
And what about Talwar? Where did that originate from?
So that's the same thing. Beast of Talwar is another card. I was that one I actually did really like the artwork on, and from the flavor text it said that the Talwar was the name of the sword that it was holding, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. So
that's awesome.
Needed a unique name to put in game.
What got you into playing Realm initially?
That would be my uncle. He got me into PC gaming. I was playing like Flash games and whatnot, like on browser and stuff, but he got me into Minecraft initially because that had just come out, and so that was really big, and so we played like with his friends and whatnot. And so then whenever I was still into that, he kind of moved over to Realm at the same time, and that was what he got into, and he told me about it. He said install Steam and play it, and then I played it with them. But I was still pretty into Minecraft at the time, so it didn't quite take my attention away. But this was in like the end of 2011, like summer. So I was playing on an unnamed account, so Talwar isn't as old as that.
Oh, really? Yeah. How long were you playing on an unnamed account for?
Just probably half a year, because in 2012, then I did make Talwar. And then that was pretty much when I started getting into the game a lot.
Oh, that's awesome.
It just kind of took off from there.
Yeah, RIP unnamed accounts, but there actually is one that's been still roaming around. Have you seen it by chance?
No, what is it?
I think he watches my stream because he always stream snipes me, but there's someone called None with the white name, like the old unnamed accounts had.
That's cool.
Not sure how he's maintaining that, to be honest.
It would have been crazy if mine was Tal. I don't actually remember what mine was.
Oh, I wonder. I don't remember. I only remember Seuss. That's the only one that I remember.
Oh, yeah. Itani.
Yeah. What other Flash games were you into at the time?
Let's see. I played on a site called egg2.com. I don't know if anyone remembers that. I tried looking it up. It's not a site anymore, so totally gone, but it's I don't even think there might be like 2 YouTube videos showing the site. Yeah. But I think my favorite one was, it was called Endgame, which nowadays is probably better known as N+, which is like on Steam and stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah, that one was legendary for its time. That was crazy.
Yeah, it's really fun. I haven't. I think I own N+. I haven't played it yet, but I really love the original because it was like you could build up a lot of speed and jump, and like if you fell too far, you would die, and you could get launched on ramps, and there were like 100 levels. It was really cool. There's a time limit. Got to collect the gold.
Yeah, so that's why the ninja class is your mascot.
It might be. Yeah, it could. I think it could be. I didn't know the N ever stood for ninja back then.
I'm not sure if it does, but it has to.
It could, yeah. You do jump around like one.
Yeah. When did you start making Realm videos? Like, how far into Realm playing?
So once I dabbled a little bit in 2011 and then sort of made my real account pretty quickly, because my first couple of Realm videos are in 2012, and I can't imagine I've been playing too long.
Yeah.
But I just kind of saw the market for it, that it was a pretty small game, and like, oh, maybe I could do something here.
Oh, what do you mean you saw the market for it? Like, was there a lot of views, or?
No, just that it was small enough to where I could probably get noticed. That, like, not everybody was doing everything yet.
Yeah.
There wasn't a saturation of Realm content by any means. Like,
yeah.
I mean, not even loot montages. There were hardly any. And back then, those were exciting.
Oh,
those were really exciting because getting whites were so rare.
Yeah, exactly. I miss the fact that people could upload like almost vanilla content and it would do so well.
Yeah, raw footage of farming Godlands with some, dubstep song playing.
Yeah, it reminds me of Kaede the Goat as well.
Yeah, one of the originals.
Speaking of Kaede, was there like anyone in particular that made you start making Realm videos, or was it just because you saw like that potential?
So I definitely credit Homies of Mars, EDKI, to that.
Yeah.
Because he was the guy who made the guides before me. Yeah. And I saw that and kind of kept up with him a little bit. People said that they liked his voice. I'm like, yeah, he does have a good voice. I like the way he explains it. And it was like, I kind of wanted to do what he was doing. But obviously, I didn't want to just completely rip off the guides he was making. So I started in a bit of a different area. He was doing, I think, class and item comparisons. That was his major thing. And so I took a different approach where I thought, well, maybe I could just do class guides and start with that, and then maybe upgrade to items and eventually dungeons. So that was how the Archer guide got started in 2013. Yeah. Before that, I wasn't doing the guides. It was like loot montages, and I don't even think I was talking in it for the first year. But maybe late 2012, early 2013, I started to use my voice more and just kind of be chill about it and roll with it. But I think what Archer guide was when I saw, I think the quickest success, the most success in the shortest amount of time. Everything else was fine, like maybe 100, 200 views, and then that one, I remember it got to 1,000 views somewhat fast, and that really was an immediate signal, like, okay, I got to do another one. Paladin guide next, and then the ninja guide and warrior or something.
Oh, nice. Was that your first guide?
The Archer guide was, yeah. It still has just a default thumbnail.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I remember rewatching a warrior guide very recently.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
The default. Yeah.
That one's I think I found that image on, because this was before I knew how to make thumbnails. Yeah. But I was able to finally make my own custom ones and upload them. So I just found that image of the warrior off YouTube or Google, and I remember it stood out to me because it's not the in-game sprite completely. It's like a unique pose that doesn't exist. So I was like, oh, this looks nice, let's use it.
Yeah, we were talking about this before the podcast, and it's crazy to think that you were probably the only person, or maybe the latest person, that made class guides multiple for Realm, and that probably contributed to your success a lot, right? Like your initial rise?
Definitely in the beginning, yeah. It's hard to say if I had started with, let's say a snake pit guide. I just went right into the dungeons. Maybe that would have taken me off too, but classes definitely was the springboard and was what led me to the point later on in the career. So I think, definitely I owe a lot to that.
It's really tough to do nowadays because back then you only had like one ability item per class. Now you have like 10 at least, which is crazy.
Yeah, that was what really discouraged me later on. I was like, oh shoot, I want to finish up the class guides, but now there's so much to take into account. I feel inexperienced. Like I'm not equipped for this anymore.
I still gotta collect all the items before I start mine. I'm gonna be Bickuribox12, I think. Gonna change my name. Speaking of Homies of Mars, I know he still keeps a tab on Realm content because he commented on a video of mine like 1 or 2 years ago, which is cool.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
But do you have a favorite Realm video that you did make?
It's hard to say. There's a lot that are like sentimental to me. Probably like there's some early deep cuts, probably like, I don't know, 10 Commandments of RotMG or the Night Owls girls reaction. Like those ones were pretty fun. Yeah. But I would probably, a safe bet would be the Shatters guide. That was kind of, it It got one of the most views. It's a behemoth 40 minutes, and I'm pretty proud of how it came out. I got most of the information right for how long it was. I like the music choices. Recent, right? 2017 now, but yeah. But yeah, back whenever it was still a relevant guide, yeah. And actually, I love that about it too. It's kind of a relic of what the old Shatters was, because now, I mean, can't even play that version, so.
Yeah. What about from a different YouTuber? What was your favorite Realm video? Because you've probably been watching them for at least 10 years. That must be a tough question.
There's a couple. So my favorite was always the I Accidentally by Hines.
Definitely,
and, a big part of that is there's just a lot of memes in it, a lot of quotable moments, and the song really carries it. It holds a lot of nostalgia for me now. Over the years. It was just, it really made it. But I think a couple other, one of the recent ones actually is the, it's not technically like 100% original, but it's the Forgotten King's Ultimatum.
Which one is that? Forgotten King Ultimatum?
It's do you know the Grinch Ultimatum meme?
Ooh, can't say I do. Forgotten King.
So a bunch of people made like remakes of that meme, and you might know this channel because he's done a few other RotMG animations. My Dignity, I think, is the name.
Oh, how have I not seen this one? It's got so many views.
Yeah, 90K. It's pretty impressive. And so this is another one where the music really sets a mood.
Yeah.
But it's animated, and it's animated to mimic the original video so perfectly. It's like 1-to-1. It's really impressive.
Wow, it is really impressive. And it's a small channel as well.
That one.
Yeah.
And another video of his that I thought was really good was the Calamity Crab animation.
Oh, that's him. Oh,
okay, so have you seen that one?
Yeah, I've seen that one. Yeah.
Yeah, same guy.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, his videos are so awesome. I hope he makes more.
Yeah.
He's actually really underrated.
He is, yeah. Considering, gosh, animation always gets so... Well, sometimes it gets underappreciated. Sometimes it blows up, and it's so hard to tell. But for the amount of work that goes into it, it's certainly a very tough gig. So,
I don't know what it is, but I feel like the player count hasn't changed too much in the last 3 years, but the people starting out nowadays, like this year, or even last year, have such a tough time getting out of there. But it's tough nowadays. I'm not sure why. I think it's just because you need to make really special content. But it seems like the amount of players are the same, like hovering around 60k active players.
Yeah, I haven't noticed. I mean, everybody kind of dashes around the phrase RotMG is dying every now and then. Just from over the years, and it's like, well, it's still here.
Yeah, it's
Must
amazing.
Not be
it's
dying
amazing
because
that kind of video and sentiment doesn't come up nowadays as often as it used to. It used to be like every fifth Reddit post.
Yeah. It seems like it's slowed down, which is good. Maybe it's... Yeah, there have been a lot more updates, because I know in Deca's beginning it was slow, but then like once we hit Unity port in 03, it was fairly consistent with like new dungeons and items.
It does seem like in the last 2 years, like this is a high point in like the term or in the amount of players that are playing outside of Month of the Mad God, which is really impressive. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, but we'll get into that a bit later.
Yeah, that was always the excuse for players to come back. And start playing.
Was there like a favorite phase you had in Realm of the Mad God, or the point where you were playing the most?
Yeah, that would be 2012 to 2014, I would say. Like once it hit 2013, this was like right after Kabam took over.
Yeah.
And just before Pets, but still well into when Pets came in, was like peak obsession. I was doing tombs constantly.
Yeah.
I was like pretty obsessed with getting rich and like maxing life, and oh my gosh, I can sell these for 8 def, because that's how much they were back then. Or maybe it was 4 and then it was 8 speed. The market was much higher back then, but it was a pretty vicious cycle, but it was fun for what it was. So I actually
started around 2015, and I really wish I was there for the pre-pet times, because I can imagine tombs without like permastuns being a lot of fun when the danger was actually there.
Yeah, getting the perma-stun was something you didn't see too often. Whenever you did, it was like, you were gritting your teeth, because you were watching the knights on your screen. If you didn't see that stun animation come out within like the next couple seconds, you'd start backing up.
Yeah.
You had to make sure you had plenty of MP pots.
Yeah, the best
Max
shotgun.
mana was super essential.
Yeah, always scary. Speaking of B-roll, which I was talking about before the podcast, there was like such a stark contrast to O2s before pets and post pets because of the permastun. Yeah, the ones before then seemed so scary, and people weren't even rushing at that time.
Yeah, they rushed in groups together. They cleared. It wasn't even rushing. Thank you, Brutus. Like, that's what it was. You guy opened the wine cellar and you cleared for him so everybody would get a chance.
Yeah.
Assassins would throw their 1 poison and be good.
If you do get into playing Realm more in the future and you're desperate to make it fun, if you want to emulate the old times, playing without a pet, I've been doing a lot recently. It's actually so much fun, it's crazy. But since other people have pets, it's not the same, but it's somewhat the same.
Yeah, it would. I mean, we talked about how they're sort of doing that with like solo modes where you can't use a pet or it's nerfed. But if you got a perk to your character for not having a pet equipped, that could be a nice incentive to do it.
Yeah, I actually didn't make a whole video suggesting that there should be a loot boost for that. I think that'll be really good. But I guess that's the same with the Moonlight Village mechanic.
Yeah. Having it from default, something to consider for the future. This game's always adding stuff, so. Yeah.
What's your favorite dungeon in Realm of the Mad God?
Probably, from whenever I last played, and probably the one that has the most memories for me. Like I said earlier, I think Tomb of the Ancients I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
That was a pretty fun one because it's pretty dense for how much, it's not that big of an area per se, but you have to go get all 5 Sarks. It makes a lot of pretty good use of its space, but you could just have someone rush that for you if you want. Yeah. And then 3 bosses all next to each other, 3 white bags. Somewhat common. It was always exciting. I like that, and getting life is always pretty worth your time. So
at the time there definitely wasn't a dungeon that matched that one in terms of how interesting it is, because the other ones were pretty vanilla.
Yeah, and even now they haven't changed Tomb as far as I know. They haven't reworked it. I don't even know, are they planning a reconstruction for it?
I don't know, but people are asking for it, and the nostalgic me makes me not want that to change at all, but the realistic me realizes that I don't run that dungeon anymore.
That's because of how much greater life drops from so many other places.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely a power creep issue, because that dungeon is pretty interesting if you force yourself to do it on a new character with no pet. People wouldn't be saying the same stuff, I think.
Yeah, because they're just skipping it because it's not lucrative anymore, right? Do people still like the dungeon if they have to do it, or do they just feel like it's not worth their time?
People perma-stun it, so it's hard to say. It's hard to say.
Yeah, that's true. I know. The answer is either the complete opposite extreme, make everything stun immune, so now the knight has no purpose.
Yeah, that actually would bring it back. Imagine. That actually would make it mental. Yeah, you could still paralyze it to make it rage.
But having a new one would be good.
Yeah. Stun didn't make the bosses rage, right? It was just paralyze.
Yes. Yeah. I believe so.
Yeah, so imagine if you could still paralyze it, but not stun it. That would be horrible.
Yeah. I mean, the rage phases, those are iconic. Those were scary.
Yeah. I always feel like the dungeons where people complain that they're outdated is mostly due to it just not being incentivized, and it could just use a loot upgrade.
Yeah, because that was kind of actually one of the last points that I think I made in one of my last videos was there was if something doesn't drop greater life, nobody wants to do it. But then look at the value of greater life.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe it's kind of too far gone maybe now to do it without the community, riling up from it. But a total reworking of how loot potions are distributed to help balance it across the board would probably be healthy for the market long term.
Yeah, it's kind of like Old Shadows. I'm pretty indifferent in terms of which one I like more, Old Shadows or New Shadows, and I feel the loot was so bad in Old Shadows, which is probably one of the determining factors for why people might have not liked it. And it also had some silly save spots that they could have patched out, I think, to make it interesting.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. It was it was weird. The dungeon was better than the bosses.
Yeah. But I think
which now seems to be the opposite sentiment.
Yeah, if you couldn't cheese them with the save spots, I think the Old Shadows could have been pretty interesting, to be honest.
Yeah, I like the way it's structured.
And with the game changing so much, there was so many different YouTuber phases as well. You had the very OG phase where it was mostly just Mafia people uploading videos. And then you had the Kabam phase where it was TechMech and Bickuribox.
Yeah.
And then you also had the Deca phase, the early Deca phase where GHZD was in it, so hype. You as well.
Yeah. He really raised the bar with his editing.
Exactly. Yeah, so good. And then there was also the most recent hyped up YouTube phase with the Deca partners. Which one did you like the most? Or did you have fun most during?
In terms of the game or content creation, or which one?
I guess in terms of making videos alongside everyone and everyone else's videos, which phase did you like the most?
I think probably the era from roughly 2014 to 2017 was my favorite time to make videos, because I felt like I had the most creativity then. I was doing just totally wacky intros to some of my videos early on. I was not insecure about it at all. It was great.
Yeah.
I was just kind of doing whatever. Yeah. And the people who liked it really liked it, and that was great. It kind of found its audience. And then 2015, I did the Snake Pit Guide for the first time, and that was whenever I kind of focused up my writing. I took some more inspiration from people I was watching at the time, and it sort of paved its way into the content that I make now. I consider that to be a big stepping stone for that. And also that was a big gateway into other content, because once dungeon guides were on the table, that became the main guide format I did.
Yeah.
So I was really happy with that. And then all the way into 2016, it was more the same. The Haunted Cemetery guide came out, and that was another one I was really happy with at the time, and it did pretty well. And then all the way up to the Shatters in 2017. I think that was my strongest streak, even though I think that I kept improving later on into all the way up to 2020. I got better at editing and whatnot, and writing and optimizing the whole process. But that period was probably the most fun, whenever I was the most jazzed about playing Realm and making content.
Yeah, you're definitely deserving of the
content back then.
Yeah, you're definitely deserving of the GOAT of Realm of the Mad God YouTube with the amount of effort you put into videos, because you were the only one to do, or actually maybe GHZD did a bit as well, but you were mostly the only one to do like live action in your guides and stuff like that.
Yes. Yeah, that is true. I don't think I saw that really in anyone else, if I'm not mistaken, until a little bit later, maybe.
I do remember seeing some face cams from GHZD. Not sure if he did much live action though. I don't remember. I don't remember.
No, that definitely came later, I think, whenever his editing went off the charts.
Yeah. Did you like the Deca partner phase of the YouTube creator landscape? Because I remember you were doing a lot of O3 back in that day, or at least when it was in testing.
Yeah. The phase was great. I think partnering with people was a brilliant idea. That definitely better sooner than later on that.
Yeah.
What year was that when that happened? Was that after O3 came out?
August 2020. I think it was alongside the Month of the Mad God in 2020. So when O3 came out and Unity.
Awesome. Yeah, that was a great time, actually. It was one of my most successful months whenever Exalt came out.
Yeah,
everybody
was
crazy. Stuck inside playing Realm of the Mad God. It was like, oh my gosh, it felt like it was kind of going somewhere. Like I think old faces were coming back, at least to check it out.
Yeah.
And just pumping out that grind. It was crazy.
Yeah,
I like that
really
phase
hyped.
a lot.
Yeah, that was really hyped. I hope they bring the Deca partnership back to its former glory, because right now there's not too much incentive to be a Deca partner, and even those that have it aren't guaranteed to be pushed by Deca right now. Yeah, I think YouTube for Realm could still be there could be another hype up, just like Exalt, just like during the Tecmec days, just like during the Mafia days. We'll see. Oh, I think the Realm rework will be the next one. Actually, that'll be the next.
That sounds right.
That'll be the next Realm Unity /O3. Is gonna be crazy. Yeah.
That will be cool, because that's that's the core structure of the game's overworld. Like, that's not just adding a new dungeon or even a new endgame dungeon that changes the whole economy. Reworking the realms, that might be the biggest, aside from the whole Unity overhaul, that might be the biggest change the game's gonna face.
Yeah, and people that are even super nostalgic for the game will admit that the realms can't get any worse right now. Do you agree? They literally cannot.
Well, especially now you have the contrast. I think we're changing this game one piece at a time. Yeah. And so it's just like a Rubik's Cube of changing colors. Eventually, parts just don't match now, to where, because I think old Realm 2011, 2012 was totally fine. Maybe a little basic, but you know what? Addictive.
At the time, it was
easy
amazing.
To understand. Yeah, and if it stayed the same, even now, I might still be playing it here and there. I don't know. But as it's changed over the years, they are trying to, also with the release of pets, increasing the speed of the game, and a lot of later dungeons needing to be reworked to be more challenging to accommodate for all levels of of divine pets and whatnot, and adding pet stasis and changing how sicken and bleed work with vitality and wisdom.
Yeah, I honestly, I feel a bit bad for the current devs, because having pets in the game is such a challenge, even if
because you don't know what everyone's gonna have.
Yeah, there's so many controversies that came from it. For example, do you remember when they nerfed pets? Kind of recently.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. What did they do at first? I forgot.
The community was split on this. They made it that they created the in-combat system, which is probably my favorite update because of the fact that it's wearing down the pet's stranglehold on the game. But basically, when players got hit, their pet stopped working for a little bit. And they also added functionality to vitality and whiz outside of just giving you a small amount of vitality and mana and HP.
Wait, so it doesn't work like that anymore?
What do you mean?
Wait, if you get hit, you're not out of, or you're not in combat? Or is that how it's working now?
If you get hit, you're in combat, but the pet gets disabled for a set amount of time, depending on your vitality stat. And then your defense, you also have an in-combat amount of damage you have to take to get into combat.
Right, yeah, the higher the vitality, the higher it reduces and that's how it is right now, right?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, and also there was some other controversies recently, like for example, I don't know if you heard about this, but they gutted Sea Shield, Crystal Shield. You know much about that item?
Oh, it got changed, right? Yeah, totally nerfed to where no one wants it or something.
Yeah, exactly. It got made into, like, instead of being invincible and being able to use it with the eye ring, it made it that it's armored instead, so you can't like stand on enemies and do that cheeky strat where you reflect damage essentially. But I feel like without pets they didn't need to change Sea Shield maybe.
Yeah.
Or maybe even MP restorables made it a bit too strong. I'm not sure.
I know, it's hard to say. Coincidentally enough, it's funny. This is a lot like Yu-Gi-Oh! Actually, to bring it back. This is whenever they errata a card and they change it because it's too broken. They re-release it and then they change it and then no one wants to play it because it's not broken anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we unbanned this card, but now no one wants to use it anyway. So.
Oh no. Also, there's one new big controversy that's been propping up. It's the debate between having an insta-kill designed endgame dungeons or like patient sicken endgame dungeons. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like the old design was like you would get insta-killed so your pet wouldn't be so broken, or they would just make you sicken so your pet doesn't work at all. So so many big controversies are spawning just from pets all these years later.
Yeah, the sicken one I would definitely take over the insta-kill.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
nobody wants to die instantly too. I mean, it depends on how you do it, right? Like there's a time and a place for it, but maybe in a permadeath game it's a bit much whenever you have all these stats to max out, and especially if you can't see it coming. Like, don't stand on the boss, it'll pop you, sure, but end game gray blobs, well, old gray blobs, maybe not so much. Yeah. Because I know they changed those. They flash before they go off now, which is good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Very, very good. It's like, man, what a beginner's trap.
But yeah, how would you get rid of pets? Because, like, it's still going to be an issue for all the years to come. I think I've been thinking of this idea for a long time. People meme about it sometimes and say Realm of the Mad God 2 is coming out or something like that, just as a joke. But I unironically think it would be amazing for the game because it would be like an excuse to absolve all of the monetization issues in the game that make it so hard to balance and maybe make it less popular.
Right, start fresh.
Because there definitely was a player drop down after pets came out, or at least a gradual one. I'm not sure about the one-to-one connection.
Yeah, a lot of people I remember saying they just started. It's no coincidence that a lot of them started saying that the game wasn't as fun anymore.
Yeah.
Sure, you play it for a couple of years, maybe the gameplay loop does get stale, but I think there's definitely a correlation with the old players.
Yeah, definitely. How do you feel about the current state of Realm of the Mad God anyway?
So from what I've gathered, it seems, well, like you said, like the player base hasn't really fluctuated that much in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So it seems like it's just going strong as always, but like just kind of still has the same technical issues like disconnecting and lag. Does that still happen?
Oh my god, I don't know why it's still happening, but it is so often.
Yeah, that's always been its Achilles heel, the disconnecting, dying to weird lag deaths, clicking and it teleports in like delays.
Yeah, like Oryx lag is still a thing somehow.
Man, yeah, that's... I thankfully on Unity, I know, right? I thankfully didn't really suffer from that much Unity lag or bad performance, like getting disconnected. I don't know why. Maybe I just wasn't playing as much as everyone else, and so I didn't suffer it at the times, but I was grateful for that. But yeah, the fact that it was happening so much, and people on low-end PCs weren't able to run it as well, even though it's like not that intense looking of a game. Yeah. It's always been a little unfortunate and like hurts its draw.
Yeah, definitely.
But I mean, it seems like for the people who are still playing it, they're still enjoying it, and they've put out some pretty good content lately. Like I feel like Moonlight Village is like pretty top notch, like for all the stuff they've been making. Boss fights have always been pretty good.
Yeah, I've been loving it so much in the last few months. They've done a really good job because honestly in the last 2 years my motivation to make content has been really low, and to play I feel like there's just been a lot of L's. But very recently even Steamworks I really like. Have you tried that one or seen it?
I've seen it, but I haven't played it myself.
Yeah, it's really cool. It reminds me of Mega Man a bit with the last boss.
Oh, that's cool. Is it that's the one with the conveyor belts that push you around?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was pretty cool to see.
What is your favorite thing that Decca's done since they've become developers for the game?
So there are a lot of updates. So in the very beginning, I remember I was super excited for their very first big update, which was whenever Toxic Sewers, Puppet Master's Encore, and the Hive came out. I
remember that,
at first. Because that was like the first time we got new dungeons.
Yeah.
Since, I mean, geez, who knows what before that? It was years.
No, I remember there was like a shadow drop by Gabam where they released Ice Cave and Puppet Theater. That was weird.
Yeah.
Because they were quiet
like,
for so
these
long.
are cool. And then, it just didn't... We were pretty dry in the content department for a while. The game was still live. Although, looking back, it wasn't that long. because now Deca has had the game for the longest era. Wild Shadow was only like 2 years, and then Kabam had it for 4 years, I think.
Yeah,
and
4 to
now
5.
It's just, it's gone up. But aside from that, I really liked the reconstruction update.
Oh, that was great,
Yeah, I thought that was a really good idea, since they wanted to start updating things, giving it new sprites, and rechanging a few things. I mean, I love the old dungeons, of course, but that's why I feel like having one day, I would love it if they would just create an old Realm little solo mode server you could play on.
Oh, like classic Realm.
Yeah, just a classic Realm mode. Maybe you could invite friends to play on it with you. Like, it doesn't, like, don't host a big server to accommodate hundreds of players, because, you got the main game, but just a way to go through those old realms with the old balancing, old items where there was nothing would be awesome. Know what?
Like, April Fool's Day would be awesome if they, like, re-add the old versions of dungeons. That would be pretty cool, and, like, they don't tell anyone.
Yeah. Actually, I might have thought about that just off the cuff one day. Like, that would be awesome if, like, Shatters. Oh, someone commented it. That's what it was. If on April Fool's, the Shatters just became the old one.
Yeah.
And then everyone exalts attack.
Was there any previous renditions of dungeons that you preferred over the current ones? For me, it's definitely UDL. I miss how dangerous it used to be. Now it's just such a baby dungeon. There were like the blobs and the tiles.
There's actually, whenever I was writing my new UDL guide back when I thought about releasing that, but then the Snake Pit guide, the re-release, didn't do super well. So I was like, well, I guess I don't have to rush this one out. That was one of my points. I was like, I think it's a better transitionary dungeon from Snake Pit to like Abyss.
Yeah.
Like now it kind of eases you into that higher difficulty better, but all of those old terrors are gone, and that was kind of cool. Like slimes, oh my gosh, the scariest thing ever made. The vampires could drain you in seconds. Mummies at the end of the hall. It was scary, and I think maybe if they just pushed that to a higher tier dungeon or made it a little bit harder to get to or something, it didn't need as many changes, but maybe, again, I think parts of the old Shatters I think are cool. I like the old one, not in its entirety per se. I do think that the new one makes a lot of strides and makes it grand and pretty epic. But yeah, there were parts about it, the old one, like the old lava walk. That was kind of cool.
That was awesome.
But yeah, I think that's probably the main one, because everything else, because the reworks are Snake Pit, UDL, Abyss, and
there were some really awesome ones. Deadwater Docks is probably my favorite one.
I was gonna say that's my that might be my favorite thing Deca's done. The Calamity Crab.
Oh my god, I love it so much.
I love this crab.
Yeah, it's so good.
He's just got cannons on him, and now that I've seen the animation, he's got a backstory. It's so good.
He does?
Or
like it's
the
just,
animation
by him. Okay.
The My Dignity
I
animation.
thought it was like hidden lore.
Now that I've seen that, I love him even more.
Yeah,
he's so cool. But yeah, obviously, Unity port was a great update in 03, finally coming out, having a big final boss. That was a big moment. But those were all, I think, the big ones. But yeah, I mean, the cute answer would be Calamity Crab. It's my favorite thing Deca's done.
I recently on the stream, as a bit of a thing on stream that we've been doing, is level 1 dungeons.
Oh, cool.
Even dungeons like Sem, like doing with brand new characters, is horrifically hard. But
I bet. You can hardly move.
We've been trying to do level 1 Deadwater Docks, the new one, with brand new characters. And it's so tough, because initially you get one shot by any bullet. You got to get some levels to raise your base HP. But no matter how far you get into the dungeon, there's always this crab that you're just terrified of. So
can that thing even be outrun on level 1?
No, not at all. So what we have to do is we have to have an anchor at the spawn where the crab can't go into, and when we see the crab, we have to scream and teleport straight away every time. And our latest attempt, our best attempt, was 1 hour long, and that was just to get to the boss.
Oh my god. Wow,
but then we got wiped. Those? Yeah. I'll link you after. It's good. So funny.
That's a good stream content. Yeah, you're gonna need the time.
Yeah, it's tough. What about things that you wish Deca did differently? Was there anything that comes to mind?
So probably more of what I was saying, like optimizing the client. I know they're doing their best, and they've definitely made changes over this, but it still seems like it still seems like it is an issue. So I just think optimizing that as much as possible, because I know of some people who have had some real bad run-ins with it, and it maybe discouraged them from continuing playing.
Yeah, that kind of was like me, to be honest. Somewhat.
And in the beginning, I think whenever Deca took over, they were spamming the chest events a little too much. And I don't know. of the lasting effects on that, but I think that may have contributed to the economy being what it is now. Who knows, though? Maybe with the introduction of 03 and Greater Life, it would have happened anyway, but I think that might have painted the wrong picture at first, because they came out with that really strong update at first, and then it was just kind of chest updates for a while they probably gathered all their ideas.
Do you remember the ice cave chest event? That was horrible. Yeah, I think it dropped Ogmus or something. Yeah.
Gosh, yeah. Well, that's actually a rework I'm quite fond of as well.
The ice cave?
Yeah, the new one.
Yeah, I love better. It's so different.
It's another one. Yeah, and they added some really cool new enemies to it.
Yeah, about the economy, it's really interesting. I'm not sure what was the most negative effect on the economy, but I feel like cheating is one of the underrated ones, because like if you think about it, if you have 50 people going into an 03 and half of them are using a client that like makes them unkillable, you have all this life flooding the economy. I'm really curious how much life would be worth if cheating was impossible, but who knows?
Yeah, that's a good idea. And from Realm's very inception, duping was the original cause of probably Amis getting removed.
Yeah.
And the whole, like even back then, like the economy was great for a bit. You could sell a bulwark for 10 life or something? And it was like, or 100 defense. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But then a little bit after that, it fluctuated as the duping became more prominent. And so even now, it's unfortunate. That's actually another thing, cracking down, finding some way to get rid of all the cheating, because it is a multiplayer game and that is a problem.
Yeah, they definitely can do it, because I don't know if you saw my video 2 months of the Mad Gods ago, but someone revealed this cheat that they were going to make available in the game for like a private group, where they could use an Staff of Extreme Prejudice on any enemy from the beach.
Whoa.
And that was just such a damaging cheat that they made sure to patch it within like a week. I revealed it before month of the Mad Gods, so it didn't like creep in, so they could fix it, like hopefully so they could fix it as soon as possible. Otherwise it would have been way too much during month for the Mad God, but
it's like a test to keep Deca on their toes.
Yeah.
So like, you missed a spot. Try patching this.
Yeah, so I feel like they could, but at this point as well, it's so tough because it's such a normal in the community now, like cheating, which is that
is a good point that you bring that up with it messing up the economy, probably because if people aren't dying and they're just getting loot, then that's extra life that might not be there.
Yeah. It's why this game probably wouldn't be alive today if it wasn't a permadeath game. I think it would just be so easy to reach the end, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and getting fame, you're just infinitely famous because you don't. No wonder they haven't sold anything valuable for fame, because
so many people have massive supplies.
Easily cheat.
Yeah, exactly. How much have you even been playing Realm since your last video? I heard you've tried Moonlight Village.
That was the first time I played since not playing. So
really? Oh wow. So you had like when did you say your last video was? 4 months ago, or
on the last Realm video?
Yeah.
That was at the end of, so it was like the new year, 2022, like just before that. So it's been about a year and a half.
Yeah, a year and a half, wow.
I was logging in for dailies
at
first, but then I just stopped because I just had to dedicate my time elsewhere.
Yeah, definitely,
and then,
definitely.
The Moonlight Village thing, that's right. I played for, probably only like 10 minutes before I panic nexused out of one of the preliminary phases, but I did watch Yin Yarn solo Umi for his first time, the hard bonus boss at the end, because he hadn't done it yet, so he was sweating.
Yeah.
Right? He was like, oh my god, I don't know if I can do this. He always nexuses during this one phase where things are flying around and I'm watching him. The guy was blinking red for so long during the sick phase, and I'm just, we are teeth chattering watching his stream, and then he gets through the phase and gets all his health back. We're just like, Yin, you're insane.
It was Refical that brought the gang back together, right? Or was it Feyron?
I don't know. I think it was 2 people.
It might have been Loki, actually.
Could have been. I know it was either him and Goodman.
Yeah.
Was playing, and then they just started drawing a crowd.
Yeah.
And then suddenly people came in and it's like, well, he's playing. Well, hang on. Then I want to play. And oh, wait, the boys are playing. All right.
Yeah.
And then they started enjoying it again, and they indirectly brought Yin Yarn back.
Yeah.
It's insane.
What about Realm content in the last 1.5 years? Have you consumed much of that?
I don't think I have. I think I've seen, Yin's new stuff.
Yeah.
A few of your videos, and I can't remember.
Yeah.
I think that Ultimatum video might have been, but I think I was still playing at that time.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Actually, but and that, I don't know if I watched the whole thing, but that the New Shatters guide.
New Shatters guide. Oh yeah, by Souls. Yeah, that's a good one.
But not a whole lot. I haven't actually consumed that much content in general. I've been mainly just working on it. I'll refresh my homepage every now and then for some like 8-second funnies, but maybe a big behemoth from someone I've been watching for a while. But generally,
so you don't watch
not
YouTube
too much. I'm on it a lot, but I'm not watching too much. Like, there's only a few people I probably go to. I don't even know. Yeah.
Have you watched my Realm Realm rework video?
Oh,
I wasn't sure if that one was one of the ones that you watched, and because you said you were hyped for it, so I wasn't sure if that was what it was.
Oh, you know what? I think I did. Did you make 2 on them, or was it just 1?
I made 1, and then one similar one on enchantments. Maybe that's what you might be thinking.
I might have seen the first one. I think.
Yeah.
No, I think I did. Yeah.
That brings me to my next question that I came up with. Do you have any plans, or are you interested at all to play any more Realm in the future, like with future updates?
This Realm rework could be it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I might check it out at the very least. It's kind of like, it's tough, like we were saying before about the creativity and the content. If I hopped it back into playing Realm again, I definitely wouldn't want to start doing update videos again. I wouldn't want to start doing.
I don't even mean like making content. Like, do you have any plans to just play it?
Oh yeah, I'm sure I'll check it out.
Yeah, at the very least with Yin Yang and stuff, right?
Yeah. I'll probably, if the gang's playing, then I'll get on and see what's up. Maybe try Moonlight again. Who knows?
Yeah.
He had keys, and he's like, "Come on, you want to join?" All right.
You know what would be so good? You know how you did those videos of Yin Yang on your channel? A Moonlight Village video with you and Yin Yang. That would be amazing.
Yeah, me nexusing for an hour. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know people. There was an audience for that, and I know there's still people now who would probably watch it if I suddenly returned to it.
Yeah.
I have a couple. I think I was on testing doing 03s with him, and we had a commentary ready to go. But then my Sonic video popped off, and I was like, "Whoa, switch gears! I have to create a follow up to this stat."
Yeah, that was crazy. So. Well, I couldn't imagine what it looked like on on YouTube Studio House. There's a ranking of top 10 latest videos.
Oh, yeah.
You just have that.
This video's up by 999%.
Is that actually what it said? Because I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah,
I think it reached 1 million views. Your first Sonic video, is that right?
It's close. It's in the 900s. There was the Origins one got 1.2 million now.
Wow, that's so amazing. I'm so happy for you. That's so awesome.
Thank you.
But yeah, as I was saying before the podcast, it would kind of be like ripping up a lottery ticket if you decided to make Realm content again on your main channel, because the YouTube algorithm doesn't really favor change that much. You kind of want to go full throttle on what's going well.
Which is so wild why it even got passed around in the first place, because that was always my trap. I would make videos on other things.
I do remember that,
and then they wouldn't go on. In fact, one of my very first review, my first Sonic video on Mania, got stuck. It was stuck at maybe 10, 12K views. It's been up for 4.5 years, or at the time it was.
Yeah.
Now it's got 700,000 views.
Yeah, wow.
Totally.
Oh, really? An old one?
It just, an old one, from 2017. Wow. It just was like, oh, you're making this stuff now. This is related, so we're going to pump this into the algorithm.
Yeah.
And so it was like I got a free upload out of nowhere.
That's so cool. Yeah, that's what Vars was telling me. The YouTube algorithm tests content sometimes out of the blue. I think it just tested your latest Sonic YouTube video at the time, and since that was so amazing, I guess people got recommended your old one as well, which was probably a similar quality.
It must be something like that.
Yeah.
I think it was just the right time, right place. I don't know if me taking a break, because I didn't upload a Realm video. No, wait, that's not true. I think I uploaded one a few days or a week before that one went out.
Yeah.
I was expecting it to perform like always, maybe 2, 3, 4K views.
Yeah.
And it started like that, and then 2 weeks later it just kept rolling. It was beautiful to watch in real time, really. I felt like I graduated college. It was insane. All these years, this is what it's been building towards.
That's so awesome. The success is so sudden on YouTube. It's so crazy.
Yeah, but I don't think if I made a Realm, I wouldn't be concerned about Realm videos getting views. If I ever made a video, I would just do it because I wanted to.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I have there's one funny idea I have in my head I might do. Yeah, I wouldn't be concerned about the algorithm reach, because I would just be focusing on the other stuff, and then in my spare time do a fun little off the cuff for the OG fans,
That's something I've always really respected about you, because all throughout the years there's always been PUBG content, Mega Man content, some guitar, even some in real life clips.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's even very daunting for me. I'm not sure why I care, but for me, if I upload anything that's not Realm, it's a bit spooky.
Yeah, but, I had that fear for a long time. The only reason I even branched off whenever I did is because I was kind of done with Realm content at that time.
Yeah.
The Saturn Zichiri art video was, that was already a weird upload, and nobody watched it. So yeah. But before that, New Shatters came out, so I was kind of rolling. Yeah. And then I was just like, man, I I need money. Like, I can't, I have to get a job or something. I've been doing this for a long time, and I need a change.
Yeah.
And I almost, like, kind of walked away from the channel a little bit. And then whenever I did, the video went off. It was insane.
Yeah, oh, that's so awesome. Something else I really respect about you is that you're still considering making another Realm video. Perhaps when Realm is doing a lot better, and it can be something that can grow a lot, because that just means you are like bringing the community back and coming back to your roots, even if it's just for one video, and that would do wonders for Realm, I think.
The benefit of that does kind of incentivize me to do that is the bigger my subscriber base becomes, the more eyes will be drawn to Realm indirectly if I happen to upload one. Even if they don't watch it, they'll see it in their feed, and the name might be there, and at the very least, more people than before will see it.
Yeah, so the subconscious even is just so powerful.
It would be good for the game. It would give it more exposure automatically. So
definitely,
in a way, stopping the Realm uploads might actually end up giving it more attention one day. Who knows?
That's so true. And you kind of want to reward the devs for doing good. I'm sure the Realm rework will be really good.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one.
And something really interesting is I'm actually so into Realm, so much so that I'm checking like the play accounts almost every day. And
cool.
I've lined up the spikes in the last 2 years with when big YouTube creators made out of nowhere Realm videos.
Whoa.
Those were actually the biggest peaks in the last 2 years outside of Month of the Mad God.
Holy.
There was a video recently by Dragoon who uploaded a video for Realm and it got 1 million views. Did you see that one by chance?
Oh, I might have actually. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there was also
crazy.
that guy who makes, I forgot, Josh Strife Hayes, that's him. Did you see that one?
I saw that one. Yeah.
Funny backstory to that one. I'm always planting seeds to try to improve the game. Crazy thing is, 2 months before that, I actually suggested to him on Twitter, I said that for this MMO Sucks series, it would be an interesting change to showcase this MMO because it's so different to the ones you've made in the past, and can't directly say that he made it because of me, but I'd like to think so. Since
you at the very least were a voice that he might have heard. Yeah,
and also
that's cool.
There was another streamer called Dizzy. He got really big from Apex Legends. He was streaming Realm, like he was doing 24-hour streams plus willingly, not even like as a special stream thing, just because he was so addicted to the game. And that was also a massive spike for the game. That was around Dragoon's video as well. Really is keen to see what happens if you ever do that again.
Well, that's cool. Because that was the same thing whenever Markiplier played it for the first time. There was probably a big spike gigantic when that happened. That was like the most viewed technically Realm video was ever made.
Man, imagine another sequel to the Markiplier video. Holy, that would be crazy.
I know, right? Yeah, I'll have to meet him one day and put in a good word.
Yeah, so we've been talking about how successful your YouTube channel has gotten lately. Your massive growth is definitely very deserved. Since you've been doing so well, do you still consider it just a hobby, or are you doing it full time or planning to?
Doing it as full time as I can.
Yeah.
Definitely testing its limits on how much I can profit off of it and how much time it takes.
Yeah.
This is kind of a year for experimentation, but yeah, it's full time in a sense that I'm dedicating most of my free time to it. But it is also a hobby in that I love doing it.
Oh, so definitely, yeah.
It doesn't feel. There are times where it feels like work. There are phases of the video creation process I kind of dread, but most of it is really exciting to me. I like finding some. Well, I haven't done too many videos on this, but like I'll find a random game on Steam on sale and it's like right up my alley. I'll play it and I'll just feel so happy. I'm like, I want to do a video on this one day and start taking notes. And even with the Sonic stuff, like whenever an update comes out, I know I kind of have a gauge for like, I know this video will do well just based on past metrics. And then I'm excited to work on it knowing that it will probably do well enough within my own expectations.
Yeah.
And then I like the way it turns out. I'm like, oh, I thought this part was funny. I like the way this part sounded and flowed. It's a whole, it's like someone any piece of art. Whenever you make something and you're proud of it, you like the way it turned out, and then you see other people like it too. It's great. It's a great feedback loop, and then you can start working on the next one.
Yeah, and I remember, I'm not sure 100% sure what you were doing on the side, but I think you were studying, and you might have been doing voice acting. Is that right?
I wanted to do voice acting. I never got into it.
Yeah.
I just was like, I've practiced using my voice for so long that I should get into this field, and I mean I still should. I'll have to. That could change. I just got to make proper connections.
Yeah,
and really,
definitely.
Go on probably like random auditions and see what I can do. I'd probably suit the commercial work a little bit better than full on acting, or at least I'd feel more comfortable doing that initially.
Yeah. Yeah, to be honest, with YouTube, it's probably the biggest payoff you can get with the voice acting anyway. And that probably contributed to your success a lot as well, because it's always great listening.
Oh, thanks.
You don't want to hear someone with a croaky voice making a Sonic video. This is a completely different question, but have you played any Realm-likes before? I remember you made a Steambirds video.
Steambirds Alliance, yeah.
Yeah, you made a Steambirds video.
Yeah, that might be the only one, although I did play... Oh, no, actually, okay, so I played a little bit of Survived By before that got canned.
Yeah.
And then the one I really liked was Trials of Titan.
Yeah.
That one was super fun. I was actually upset whenever it got, what was it, DMCA'd?
Oh, really? You liked it that much?
Well, I liked it. I had played it enough to be upset that it was getting destroyed. You know, a dream was being crushed. You know, maybe I wouldn't have played it that much longer, but I got the soundtrack. We even got a custom track that wasn't in it yet because Yin was talking with the composer.
Oh, well,
It was like the final boss. It sounded so good. And I thought the sprites were cool without like being Realm ripoffs.
Yeah, that game was really interesting. Sadly, I didn't get to try Steambirds or Trials of Titan. But, guess who I'm having on for the next podcast? It's related to Trials of Titan, guess.
Ooh, I mean, aside from one of the makers, I mean, I don't know.
Jewix, yeah. You remember him?
Oh, yeah.
So that should be really interesting, because he not only made Darza's Dominion initially when it was like 17, but he also made
Darza's?
Yeah, he made Darza's initially, yeah.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
Okay, so it is the same guy.
Yeah, and now he's working on a third game. Have you heard of Born Again by chance?
I've heard of it, but I haven't looked into it.
Really cool. I feel like that would be down your alley, because you're into like the ninja Japanese kind of style. I know we've discussed in the stream how much you love ninjas.
yeah.
But
is that also a Realm-like?
Yeah, also a Realm-like, yeah. It's the most different one, because that one's melee oriented. It's so hard to explain, you'd have to see it for yourself.
True. Yeah, actual melees, not throwing your sword projectiles.
Yeah, exactly. Like the most you can do is there's like active abilities where you can throw a shuriken every 20 seconds, which isn't like something that you could rely primarily for damage, but it's something to like substitute.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of potential in the Realm-like genre to catch on, because it's unique. It is its own genre. You're combining like, I mean, geez, it's bullet hell, RPG, MMO, top down, and roguelike permadeath elements.
Yeah.
Like, it's nuts. It's really its own thing. I don't know if the permadeath is like what keeps it perhaps outside of mainstream appeal, or if it's just the fact that it's not like a big AAA 3D title. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I feel like the permadeath is what makes it, because if you think of really widespread games,
definitely.
One of the motivations or inspirations for Realm of the Mad God was Binding of Isaac. Have you ever played that game?
Oh, I know a lot about it.
Massive game. And I can just imagine if that game didn't have permadeath, like if you know how it works, you're like, you restart
destroys
runs. It. Yeah. So if you like restart at the start of the room after you lose your health with full HP, that would be a bit obscene and crazy.
Yeah, no, roguelikes absolutely thrive on permadeath.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I think it's just the combining of like the grinding MMO aspect that might rub people the wrong way, but you know, there's ways to innovate on that, and I don't think it's like I agree with you. I do think it makes the game what it is, and it's certainly what hooked me in.
Do you think if the developers played their cards differently, Realm of the Mad God could have become a mainstream game?
Hard to say.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, the dang thing's been out for 13 years.
Yeah. The fact that it's still alive and it had such massive issues along the years, like cheating or this like crazy spawning O2s in Nexus and the monetization, I think it is a bit of a miracle that it's still alive, given all of the pain it's endured.
I don't know who's keeping it alive. It must just be the current player base. I mean, are they spending money? Is that what it is? Is it keys? Is it what's going on?
It has to be a mix between the devs and the players, but the fact that it even made it through the Kabam age, I'm not sure how that happened, to be honest. The late Kabam age.
Yeah, because people were always saying it was going to die, and at that time the game was still only 4 years old.
Yeah, like I remember seeing the player base, it actually plateaued at a point and it wasn't falling, and that was when multi-boxes were running rampant, so that's crazy. Yeah.
Jeez.
I do feel like given a different set of circumstances, Realm could have been a mainstream game, but it's impossible to say.
Yeah, I think it would definitely be at the very least an indie hit, like some of those, because I mean, would you consider Binding of Isaac to be mainstream?
No.
Or is it still technically in in like just barely at the top of the indie chain, but not quite in that top tier?
Okay, I think I would call it a mainstream game given its play count, because I think it still ranks in the top 100 most played Steam games. But I think people consider it an indie game because it had the same beginning as Realm.
Made.
Yeah, it also started on Flash as a joke of a game. Like, it was basically made as a joke. It just feels like an indie game, which is probably what makes people call it an indie game sometimes.
Yeah, that's true. That's what makes it an indie game, I guess, is that it was made independently.
I would say Enter the Gungeon and Hades are the same. Like, you play them, it kind of feels like an indie game, but in reality, they're like one of the most played games on Steam, so that you'd probably call them mainstream.
Hades is extremely popular and well received, so I would honestly say that's like breaking through into mainstream territory. The things at the Game Awards, like it's good. There's definitely potential for something like Realm to break through, but I do think, I don't know what it would take to completely rearrange it, because that's based on trends. Like you'll get, like, who knows what's going to happen every now and then. Like you never see 2D games winning awards, but then it's like Cuphead came out and like all of a sudden people, like, all eyes were on it. Because it was like so unique artistically, and then it was insanely hard, so it kind of played into that difficulty trend that Dark Souls started and other roguelikes too.
Yeah, definitely. To rewind it a bit, what do you think happened to Steambird's Alliance? Did you have a lot of fun with it? And what do you think led to its downfall and end up getting cancelled?
All right, I was in the server, and I don't know specifically what caused all the players to start dipping down, but I know that they struggled. They changed a lot of things. They removed permadeath at one point.
Oh, I remember
towards
that,
the tail end.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, people wanted that, I think.
Yeah.
But then I think the game died after.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that was the cause, like you stripped it of its main appeal.
Yeah.
Or if everybody was falling off anyway. This was around the time whenever I was getting kind of burnt out of Realm anyway, so playing a new version of that was sort of like, I don't know, I got to relearn all this stuff. It looks and feels different. The main thing about it that kind of bugged me was the way it controlled, because it was like actual planes. So the turning was wide. You made wide turns, and you couldn't, like, if you want to walk backwards in Realm, you hold down S. You can't do that in Steambirds. You have to.
I didn't know that. That's
you
horrible.
have to go all the way around. Yeah. So for like bullet hell patterns, it's really hard to accommodate for that arc.
Yeah.
Maybe there was a certain, because other classes played differently, maybe there was a certain one that did control like that.
Yeah, I remember there was
maybe
like a flying guy.
I don't know.
I think there was like, I remember studying this, because I made a video called The History of Realm Likes. Not sure if you saw that one. And
yes, I did. That was a great one.
Awesome, thank you. I remember there was 2 different types of ships. Never even played it, but I remember there was like hoverboards and then a different one, and they both controlled in 2 different ways, but I think one of them were less limited to controls.
Yeah, I remember something like that. There was like, some of them had tank controls.
Yeah.
Like you pointed and then went. Yeah, they definitely wanted to play into the movement, which was interesting, because I remember Rob on your last podcast said the same thing about he compared with his Galactic Assault Squad control. He wanted it to be a lot like Asteroids, where you kind of hover as you move, and I think that actually sounds like it works quite well, because you can still move at the right direction you want to go, but you just have to account for the drift.
Yeah, I had a bit of a concern with Galactic Assault Squad, because the controls are a bit hard to catch on, and when I basically forced people from stream to play with me, they had a complaint about the controls. It was a bit tough for them to learn. I feel like I'm getting a bit good at it, but still got long ways to go. How do you feel about the controls in Galactic Assault Squad? Did you end up playing it yet?
I haven't played it, but it looked pretty interesting. I think the only 2 cents I can really offer on that is if the awkward adjustment to the controls services the gameplay in some way, I think it's worth it. But if it's just something you always have to work around, and it never feels like it has a purpose, that's the issue. But if it actually amplifies difficulty and makes you reconsider interactions, you're like, okay, I can't go too far here, then I think it works. It's a fine line. That is very difficult, because a lot of people it's usually easier to just make really snappy control where move left, you move left, and then let go, you stop moving. Because that's ultra responsive, and it makes it very consistent, easy to rely on, and then you can actually learn what the game's about.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I hope that does well. What have you been doing for fun lately anyway, ever since you stopped playing Realm?
Just in general?
Yeah, just in general.
I mean, I'm working on the videos, and that's very fun for me.
Yeah.
I still play in my spare time, like other games, whatever random thing I've stumbled upon and maybe want to make a video on in the future.
Yeah.
I still practice guitar a little bit.
Oh, awesome.
I keep up with that just to keep my fingers busy.
Awesome.
I exercise a lot, really into that. It's a lot of fun, and just trying to take care of myself.
Yeah.
Create some healthier habits.
Oh, really nice. I should start doing that.
In my older years. Yeah.
What's been your most played game in the last year?
actually Overwatch.
Last question, was there anything else you'd like to say to your OG fans?
Well, I mean, just a big thanks for, I mean, all the viewership over the years, whether they're new or old. I mean, it was a ride.
Yeah.
That's for sure. It was
crazy ride.
I believe 12 years of Realm content creation.
Yeah.
So it was quite a journey, and it's a mutual thing, but I really couldn't have done it without the combined efforts of everybody watching the stuff and saying all the nice comments, because it lets me know that I'm doing something right in the community, and it's nice to see that I had some effect. I entertained people. I even got some people out of slumps, apparently, out of depressing times. Like that's when you hear that,
beautiful.
you don't even think it's real, because you're like, what? This doesn't. I play Realm of the Mad God. Like, this doesn't. Come on, this can't. How happy is this making you? But it does. Whenever you're making stuff for people, you're the only one who can't watch it in the way that a viewer can. So
definitely,
you really don't know. And so just huge thanks to everybody. And if you were interested in my content for me, the way I did it, then you're still going to love the stuff that's happening now, because I think it's the best stuff I've made now. I'm always trying to push myself.
Awesome.
But if you're solely interested in Realm of the Mad God, I wouldn't hold your breath, but I might do might do some things in the future if I feel so inclined. So it's not completely hopeless. Just keep it in check, maybe.
Hype. I think it's like, I love to think about this, but you know how I was saying that I'd like check the daily play account for Realm sometimes?
Oh yeah.
And I lined it up with big creators. It's crazy how much big creators have an effect on play accounts and how they keep games alive. It's really worth considering how much you've actually impacted the player base of the game. Maybe you're the sole reason that what brought it over the edge, over the rising water of the challenges that it faced.
I wonder, man. It's crazy.
Because I would say there's no doubt if YouTube didn't exist, Realm would be dead, I reckon.
Probably.
Yeah.
Or at least, I mean, I don't know what it costs to keep the game up, but maybe they would still have some people playing. But if it's not enough to keep the game alive financially, then they would have had to pull the plug.
But it was such a pleasure having you on. Thank you so much for your time.
No problem. Thank you. It was a pleasure.